They came expecting hell, but what they found was chewing gum and cigarettes, endless golden packs of Lucky Strikes and Camels, passed out freely by the same men who had once been trying to kill them. For the German soldiers who surrendered at the end of World War II, life inside American POW camps felt like stepping into another world, a world that made them question everything they'd ever been told about the enemy. Because for the first time, they saw America. Not on a battlefield, not through propaganda, but up close. It was May 1945. Across Europe, the German army had collapsed. Millions of weary soldiers, hungry, filthy, and broken, were laying down their arms. For years, they had been told that the Americans were monsters, that captivity meant torture, starvation, humiliation. But the moment they were captured, something unexpected happened. A soldier, barely 20, lifted his hands. The American, pointing a rifle at him, simply lowered it and handed him a cigarette. That small gesture, one cigarette, would become the first taste of a strange kind of freedom. For German POWs, the shock wasn't just that they were alive, it was how they were treated. In the heart of the United States, far from the ruined cities of Europe, POW camps began filling up. Places like Camp Swift in Texas, Camp Shelby in Mississippi, and Camp Butner in North Carolina. Behind the barbed wire were thousands of captured German soldiers, men who had once marched through France and Poland, now given 3 meals a day, medical care, and a clean uniform. And cigarettes. Always cigarettes. An average American GI smoked about 10 to 15 cigarettes a day, and so did the prisoners. They were part of the rations. Sometimes even more than food, the cigarettes became currency, traded for chocolate, letters, or even favors. To the Germans, this was surreal. At home, tobacco was rationed and precious. Here, it seemed endless. And then came the chewing gum. At first, many POWs didn't even know what it was. American guards would toss sticks of gum through the fence. Here, try it, laughing as the Germans chewed awkwardly, unsure if they were supposed to swallow. The sweet, minty taste, the endless flavor, it was unlike anything they'd known. For these men, raised under the rigid, war-hardened Nazi system, chewing gum symbolized something childish, even free. It wasn't just a treat, it was a sign of a culture overflowing with comfort, with abundance, with everything Germany no longer had. It made them wonder, how can a nation so rich in small pleasures also be the one that defeated us so completely? As weeks turned into months, something began to change. Many POWs started seeing America not as an enemy, but as a kind of dream. The camps had libraries, sports fields, even classrooms where captured soldiers could learn English, math, or American history. The guards were firm but respectful. And every day the prisoners watched trucks unload boxes full of cigarettes, gum, canned food, and supplies that never seemed to run out. It wasn't just victory on the battlefield, it was victory of lifestyle. A German prisoner later wrote, "I realized then that we could never have won. America had everything. We had nothing left." That realization broke many of them more deeply than the war itself. When they were finally allowed to write letters back to Germany, many POWs described their shock. Some wrote, "The Americans treat us better than our officers did." Others said they didn't even feel like prisoners. "We have food, music, books, and yes, endless cigarettes." For their families reading those words in war-torn Germany, it was hard to believe. While civilians dug through rubble for scraps of bread, their captured sons in America were eating meat, smoking, and learning English. When the war ended, many of these men were sent back to Germany, but something inside them had changed. They had seen America, the power, the abundance, the kindness mixed with strength, and they carried that image home. Historians later said that these former POWs helped rebuild Germany differently, less militaristic, more democratic, because they had witnessed another way of life. They had seen a society so confident in its values that it didn't need cruelty to win. For decades after the war, many of those men remembered one small thing: the first American who handed them a cigarette. It wasn't about tobacco, it was about dignity, a moment where the victors showed mercy instead of hate. And that, perhaps more than any bomb or bullet, was what truly defeated Nazi Germany, because the German POWs had seen the real weapon of America, not its tanks, not its planes, but its humanity: a cigarette, a piece of gum, and a smile. Years later, one former prisoner wrote in his diary, "We came to America as enemies. We left as admirers." And that's the strange, forgotten truth of history. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can change the course of nations.